Daddy, you are self-governed.
Hey, what's up? It's Rick Dees in the morning. Right now, Vendog.
Access granted.
Going live from a 35,000-foot view, the Captain America for Jesus himself, Vendog Radio.
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Thank you so much for being on today. It is going to be an exciting afternoon here for you live. If you are on YouTube, please do like, share, subscribe. Put this in the troposphere. If you are on the infamous Rumble, please hit it up on Rumble. Repost, share it with everyone in the troposphere. We are 5 away from 500 on Rumble. And if you would like to support us on Rumble, there are some things called subs that you can purchase on Rumble, and there are levels of subs, and that does help the podcast continue to press forward. If you are on X, formerly known as Twitter, I never thought I'd say it again this week, but I have to. Please hit the follow switch, repost, and this will be airing on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and the infamous Apple Podcast. Yes, indeed. It's on Apple Podcast right after this airs. All right. So my friend Sherry has stopped by because we are going to talk about the escalation and the anti-Semitism in the United States of America and the world. Hey, look, just because someone got elected into office doesn't mean it stopped. It's continuing, and my goodness, 500 days. Can you believe it? Sherry's here. Hi, Sherry.
Hi, my friend.
How are you?
I am well, as much as can be in these times.
Yeah. So I know you've been hearing about them, about the evil cronies of Hamas, supposedly releasing more hostages. We don't even know if they're alive.
Yeah, unfortunately, we know they're returning tomorrow. Dead hostages. They're talking about 4 dead hostages that will be returned tomorrow, and 6 more alive one on Saturday. And we just never know what we're about to witness. We've been expecting since the beginning of the deal, this deal, that at some point it was known we would get, dead hostages back, and it's pretty dreadful. It's like a twisted psychological terror on our people, in that sense of no information about it. We don't know the condition of the hostages who are coming back alive. We don't know what we're about to witness. As we saw, with the 3 fathers who were returned 2 weeks ago, who were, it was horrifying.
Yeah, they're
them.
young, and they're young guys, and they look like they aged like 20 to 30 years.
I'm gonna shift. Sorry, excuse me. I just changed the they're in horrible shape, horrible, underweight, and starved. And those images for us, it really to resemble too much the resemblance of our grandfathers who came out of Auschwitz, the resemblance. And I can't describe in words what it does to us as people, Israelis. This whole psychological terror through we're so grateful to see them alive. We've been praying for this, and at the same time there's a relief and a short breath at the same time, because we're relieved to see them and we want to see all of them. and you know, and we're, I think I can say, you know, 8 million Israelis are, you know, waiting for Shiri and the babies, and we've been praying and praying, and you know, it's hard to hold on that faith that we will see them alive, especially, you know, with Hamas coming out with statements. We never believe anything they say, you know. We
Mm-hmm.
never believe anything they said. They also told us back in December that one of the observers, soldier girls, is dead. One of those that was returned already. Back in December, they announced that she's dead, and she wasn't. So we can't believe when they tell us that Shiri and the babies are dead, and they're saying they're returning them tomorrow. That those are There's four bodies and three of them is her and the babies. That's what they say.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, honestly, I feel like this whole situation just brought us as Israelis to really bottom of the barrel as far as any kind of belief that there would have been peace ever
Yeah, and you know
between
the whole
us.
ceasefire. The whole ceasefire thing. I never bought into that because I know Hamas. They will not adhere to a ceasefire.
Yeah, the ceasefire it's a joke,
Yeah, it is. All right.
especially in the West. The West here, the West Coast, especially. You know, I have people in my town here. They're still trying to convince the city council to make a ceasefire resolution. They still today, right now, trying to get them to sign a ceasefire resolution. This little town, North California, and I don't even fight them anymore because it's a joke. What's this ceasefire? Does anyone see what they're doing?
Exactly.
Does
There will
anyone
never.
watching? Is anybody paying attention to what
Mm-hmm.
they're doing? And anybody saw their parades of release of our hostages? What they're doing there? The stage, the banners, all the festivities around releasing our hostages, giving our hostages goodie bags as if they came back from some kind of Hamas fun camp. um, Complete torture,
Mm-hmm.
forcing them to speak on the microphone in front of this Palestinian crowd that is cheering to these starved people who've been, you know, underground for 16 months without sunlight, and now they bring them on stage to wave to the Palestinian people. And it's anyone who watches that and can go, well, what about seeing these like covered faces, men holding their rifles, surrounding these women when they released our soldier girls, and all these men surrounding them with rifles and covered faces, and these like 20-year-old girls. What's wrong with people that they
Yeah.
don't see? How can they not see who is the bad guy in the story? How can they not see it?
Well, unfortunately, in today's society, people will be blinded, and I want everybody to see how these people think.
أخرجنا اليهود من فلسطين، لو أخرجناهم من فلسطين وأخرجناهم من بيت المقدس دون أن يسلموا ولو ذهبوا آخر العالم، سنلاحقهم وسندعوهم إلى الإسلام وندعو بوجه الإسلام وندعو جميع النصارى للإسلام. نعم نعم، ديننا دين الرحمة.
نعم، أنا أوصي أولا يعني الإخوة المجاهدين في سرايا القدس أن يستمروا في عملهم المقاوم.
نحن لا نحب الحياة، نحن طلقنا الدنيا بالثلاثة، نحن الذين عمروا.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
People can watch that and be like, oh, well, Well, Israel created these monsters. They find ways to excuse this situation, these fanatic jihadists excuse them by, pointing at Israel occupying and all 80 years or 75 years of occupation. You guys created Hamas, you created terrorism. I hear all these things that are so ignorant too, because Arabs, radical Islamic people in the Middle East been massacring Jews long before 1948. So any kind of claim that Israel created terrorism because of some kind of Jewish colonialism in our own homeland, they're just not uneducated people, because it is very easy to find history of Jews in the Middle East long before the establishment of modern day Israel.
Yep.
And they've been doing this for a very long time all over the land, and not just to Jews. That's the thing. And, many indigenous people in the Middle East been massacred by radical Islam.
Yep.
The Nubians, the Armenians, the Yazidi people, the Bedouins, any people who practice, the Christians, anyone who practice something else than Islam and praising Allah doesn't have place. That's what they've been doing for a very long time, hundreds of years, thousands of years. I always say that, without Israel and without the IDF, Jews in the Middle East would have been, if we still survived till today, we would have been just like the Yazidi people who are, their daughters are being taken, they're used as sex slaves, families, being murdered, people being massacred, men are taken there. Anyone can look up Yazidi people. Many don't know. When I ask people about other culture in the Middle East, other religions in the Middle East, other indigenous people, they don't know much. The Kurds also suffer greatly by radical Islam. The Druze, the Druze people in South Syria, after everything that happened over there, with Assad and the revolution and all that, there's a couple of Druze villages in South Syria that when the radical Islamists took over after Assad ran away, they asked Israel to be annexed. They asked the IDF, because the IDF started, getting into South Syria to protect Israel, to make sure those revolutionaries, they don't come in. And they got into Druze village, and these people asked the IDF not to leave. They asked them, please don't go, don't leave us alone.
Wow.
Because they know what radical Islamists do to us. Jews, Druze, Yazidi people, Kurds, Persia, Iran used to have indigenous culture of their own, not Muslim, and also all that art, the Persian art, all those regalias, their traditional clothing, things like that went gone, with the Islamic revolution. So yeah. Yeah.
And I just want to always push all these video clips of how radical and heinous these people that call themselves peaceful really are. Now, that's at the Capitol in Washington, D.C.
My ears burn. I cannot see them anymore. I tell you,
Mm-hmm.
my ears burn to see this. It's really just.
Mm-hmm. Well, remember
It's
when
just,
you and I, the last time we spoke, we talked about their 100-year plan.
yeah,
And they're going to continue with their 100-year plan if they're allowed to exist.
yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it's happening in front of our eyes. It really is. You know, I don't even know what people see or hear. Like just now, there was another terrorist attack in Germany, you know, and just like in Christmas, you know, someone just drove into a crowd. They do that.
Yeah.
Drive into a crowd full speed, kill the mom and her baby, you know, a German mom and her two-year-old baby. And I sit there, I'm like, is anybody noticing over here? Because I know in Europe, they know all about it now. You know, European, they found out.
Oh, man, especially in England.
Yeah, they found out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
They found out real quick.
Yeah, and here, there's still a momentum to catch it. And thank God. Thank God we have Trump right now. Seriously. Like, I feel for us Israelis, but also as an Israeli that live in the US, I'm so grateful for that guy.
Yeah, and the thing of it is too, not only that, I think that we the people need to be so vigilant to get a grip on this, because yeah, he's the president, but it takes all of the people to really keep their ears open and their eyes peeled.
Seriously, wake up, America, you know, like all these ideas of that came in the years of, you know, like progressive liberal ideas of humanitarianism, things like that, of, you know, white savior complex, you know, saving other people and all this guilt. There's a lot of guilt in America because of people, especially these movements, all these like these woke movements.
Yeah.
There is so much guilt there of their own history, okay? And they're simply like scapegoating on, and I'm like, take care of yourself. Like, you're so obsessing about a war over there. What about what's going on in your own country? Take care of yourself. Like, go help some people in your own country that need help, instead of you know, crying about other people colonizing. And I think to myself, well, what is your history? Someone just posted, she posted something, no one is illegal on a stolen land beside those who stole it.
You know what's so funny about that? I'm gonna
American lady, you know, and I tell her, and she says it like to me, on our people over there. I say, oh my God, the hypocrisy. Because if you think I'm illegal in my homeland, then you are definitely illegal, and then you need to go back to Greece or wherever it is your ancestors came from.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, yeah, not to offend anyone, but like that kind of scapegoating that's been going on in them, that those movements, they're anti-American. They teach self-hate. These people hate their own country while they live in it, thrive in it, make money in it. And yet they'll go to these kind of protests that are completely anti-American. This Free Palestine crap, excuse me for my language, it is completely anti-American. It is completely anti-Semitic. It's a hijacked movement that have nothing to do with the Palestinian people. It does not want to help the Palestinian people. It got hijacked by radical Islamist jihadist organization with its only interest is to demolish Israel, and after that to take over the rest of everyone.
As everybody knows, that a Roman leader actually gave that name Palestinians to be offensive to the Jewish people.
Exactly. Do they care?
So there's no such thing as a Palestine.
They don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care. You know why? Because at this point, I've been saying from day one, jihadist propaganda is also old Nazi propaganda. They are the same thing. And and the thing is that they've been feeding this propaganda to Western minds for a very long time, longer than when this war started. I think it's at least 25 years been dripped into American society, whether it's like social justice movement or colleges. They've been dripping it in through whoever is funding these colleges. If Qatar is funding anything within the US, that thing is corrupted and is radicalized. And so our children in colleges being radicalized through these people who are funding those schools. They teach them that self-hate. And I'll tell you that it's very dangerous. And I think we spoke about it before, but you'll speak with Iranians who escaped Iran during the Islamic Revolution, and they would tell you that that's how it started over there.
It's very true.
And so that movement, that jihadist, this 100 years plan, that's how they get it done. So they drip in this propaganda, and since the war started, they're doing it like high volume with these people, so much that a lot of these people they can be very intelligent people, famous people, musicians, artists, they believe that they don't need to listen to me because I'm Israeli Zionist, and I'm kind of outspoken, and I have a lot of knowledge of our history. And so when I try to talk with them and converse and share facts, historical facts, they feel confident they don't need to listen to me because they were told so by those influencers, by those social justice movement leaders, by those people who are, maybe famous and have a lot of followers, and they spout out this jihadist propaganda, and then those people spout it out because they believe those other famous people that they appreciate and whatever, admire. And what I find out too is that there's a lot of people who really want to be famous but aren't quite famous. And they will have like 70,000 followers, or on Instagram maybe 80,000, and they ride the wave of this jihadist movement to gain more followers just because they actually want to be famous. They actually are very selfish people that really don't care about Palestinians that much. It's just so loud right now that they realize that when they post all this radical stuff, they get a lot of followers. And when they share, there's a famous guy named Saul Williams. He's a famous guy. I don't know, I think a rapper or something. I'll share with you the account on Instagram. He have, I think, like 1 million followers, and he shares the most anti-Semitic, mind-blowing Nazi propaganda on his regular feed. 2 million of people. So then the lower magnitude one of the 70,000 followers, they share his stuff. And he is relentless, you know, and people like him, there's no lack in people like him. Imagine, I said from day one, in the online war, Jews lost already on October 8, 2023. As far as the online propaganda that's being shared, we stand no chance. Someone like Kanye has 16 million, 70 million followers. 17 million followers. That's more than Jews' population. That's more than our entire population. We have no game in the online internet, all what's going on there. We can't fight it because it's just like, you know, millions, 100 millions people in front of like small, very small group.
Yeah, it's horrible. And by the way, Kanye West is a big anti-Semite, and so is Candace Owens. We can call it out.
Oh my God!
I call her KK. I call her KK Owens thanks to cousin Pookie. We call her KK Owens because she is acting like a modern day Klanswoman.
She's nuts. She's obsessed. Some of these people, I'll tell you, when we talk about like a spiritual warfare that's going on, these people are possessed by demons. I'm sorry to say. At this point, I came to conclusion.
Oh no, don't apologize. It's true.
I came to a conclusion, you know, after those soldier girls were released. And so I saw one of these kind of local lady that is a musician, you know, over here, that share exactly what I was talking about, all those Saul Williams. I just shared with you his profile. You can see how deeply obsessed he is with Jew hatred, obsessed with Jew hatred. You know, and she's a woman, right? A woman, supposedly spiritual, conscious, supposedly new age, whatever. And she straight up shared about our hostages, about the girls that you know, they spoke Arabic when they came out, and they said thank you to Hamas. There were videos of them saying thank you. So, and they were not looking bad. So she was sharing, hey, look. And then she said, one of the girls said thank you to Hamas because they taught her to share food, because Zionists only know how to steal and they don't share their food. So these girls learn in captivity in the tunnels with Hamas terrorists to share food. This is a person, you know, put publicly out and feeling just all right about it. And then when you try to talk with her, when I was like, this is not right. You know, for 16 months, you haven't mentioned these girls, not even once. Now that they came out, you say, oh, look, they said thank you to Hamas. So that must mean that, you know, Hamas are good people.
But you and I know differently.
I mean, I can't believe it, you know. It's really hard to fathom that, you know, any human being can see young women coming out of captivity and say, hey, look, they said thank you to the kidnappers, so they must be fine. Like, what happened to these people, you know? The only answer I have at this point that they're just possessed. I was like, this is like a brain virus. I call it the jihadist brain virus.
Yeah, that's for sure. Now, I grabbed this from your Instagram page earlier this morning.
Yep.
And this is not even the half of it.
Oh,
Wow.
this is from the Nova Festival, from the music festival.
Mm-hmm.
This is also music festival, the road where all the cars were parking, and now it's all the burnt cars. Yeah,
Holy
the Thai
smoke.
workers. This is the Thai workers. They took the Thai people too. And then they just killed the cows also over there. You see them in the.
Mm-hmm. That one said sensitive content, but I opened one of them. This is insane.
Oh yeah. I mean, did you see any of the heavy duty videos from October 7th?
Yeah, I sure did. And
See, like the movie, there is a few kind of movies that are just like document.
Yeah, I saw those.
Like
man.
collection,
And I'll tell some of you out there, man, some of the
Oh, what
stuff I
happened?
saw, my gosh, it was sad. Oh, did I lose you? I did, huh? Yeah, Sherry, I can't hear you now. I don't know what happened. Oh boy. Raise your hand if you still hear me. Okay. Yeah, I can't hear you. You got to. Yep. Oh man. Sherry was on a roll too. What I'm gonna do here, Sherry, just try to go back out and come back in, and I'm just gonna roll a video clip real fast while you try to straighten that out. And my friends, I'm telling you, these people are evil. Now, this was some Palestinian guy, or whatever you want to call him, Hamas, Muslim, in Canada. And a reporter asked this guy this question. Listen.
What happened to a gay couple in Palestine, sir?
What?
What would happen to a gay couple in Gaza?
Executed according to Islamic law. Islam doesn't endorse gayism. Islam doesn't endorse homosexuality.
Do you think that's good, sir? Do you think it's good for gays?
Islam doesn't approve of being gay.
I see. Okay, so would you like to see Sharia law in Canada replace Canadian law?
At some point it will. Because we have families, we are making babies. You're not. Your population is going down the slump, right? Yeah. And by 2060, according to Pew Research Institute, your research, by 2060, Muslims will be the biggest religious group the world over. What are you going to do then?
Actually,
are you going to oppose Sharia even then?
You know what? I'm very appreciative of the honesty. We don't usually get that. So you do support Sharia.
Just like you had a Western majority nation in a land of Native Americans, one day we can have a Muslim majority nation here in Canada.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Uh-oh. What happened? I don't know what happened, Sherry, but it sounds bad. Yeah, it's bad. It's like really staticky. Yeah. All right. Now we just need to get your voice back. Sorry about the difficulties, everyone. It's just technology sometimes. So you guys saw what that guy just said in Canada. He just let you know what would happen. And then you have these people saying, well, G's for Palestine. And what happens? Guy gets gonzo. All right. He gets unalived over there when he tries to go over there and say that he's standing with them. So we're going to get Sherry back on, hopefully. Yeah, it's still staticky. Yep. Still staticky. Is it the earbud? Yeah, it's still staticky. It's all right. It's all right. Yeah, the earbuds. Okay. Yeah, it's staticky. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see what we can do here. Yeah. It sounds bad.
How about now?
Oh, thank you, Jesus.
Yeah. Okay, this works?
Yeah, that works.
All
Whatever you
right.
just did, that works.
Okay, great. Sorry about that.
Let's try to keep it there.
Yeah, I was seeing the video you shared though, and you know, it's exactly that. You know, all we can do is try to. I try to encourage people to speak about it, especially you know people that see it and would make a point of telling me they're seeing it, but that they're afraid to say anything because they don't want to be canceled. Because we live in a cancel society. When you speak about truth that isn't convenient to the general narrative, you're going to get canceled. And, you know, it's a real problem with this thing because, you know, as an Israeli, I speak a lot against radical Islam, and people easily call me Islamophobic. And there's a problem with that, you know, because you can't not be able to talk about radical Islam and the problem that jihad is, and you know, with the worry that you would be categorized as Islamophobic, you know. And I think it's a healthy concern to have, especially in a society that was very welcoming immigration. And you know, who am I to say? I myself, I'm an immigrant here in this country, and at the same time, I feel like what happened in Europe, for example, is that you know you bring people of complete different culture and different ideologies into Western society, and they're gonna rise in numbers faster than you, which is exactly what that video you shared. I've seen few of those before. They're not even hiding it, guys. They're not even hiding it. They're saying it to the camera. They're saying it out loud. They're like, we're here. We naturally make more babies than you guys. Culturally, that's, we make 7, 8, 9 children. And and you guys make like 2 kids, average. So, give us like 10, 20 years. We have time. We'll wait. We have time. We're patient. But for sure, within 20 years, especially because it's a democracy, we're just going to vote for our own. And then you all going to need to just get along with it or get kicked out. And they're saying it out loud. And I'm like, just baffled that some people I would talk with about that think that that's propaganda. They think that's extremism. So, I feel like the media has big part of it. The fact we're all very much connected to our phones, and people get their algorithm get set up in such way that they get blasted off, or they get blasted, in their phone with whatever it is that they already been checking out. They'll get more of that.
That's true.
Yeah. And then they get really that's how brainwashing works, and propaganda works, and propaganda kills. That's how the Holocaust happened. That's why I'm so passionate about talking about this Nazi propaganda, because that's what it is. And, Yasser Arafat, I was just talking with my friend about it, how he's in the pit of hell that he's in. He looks, we'll say someone looked down from heaven, but he looks up from hell. And he can't believe how his crazy idea, creating the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, and creating peoplehood out of the Arab people who lived on the land and got moved aside because they didn't agree to share it with the Jews. And he created a peoplehood out of them. And the sole purpose of that was that they can be used against the Jews. So he created that organization so he could get the world to back up an idea that was a Nazi idea. That was that the Jews should not have their home, and that the Jews not belong there or anywhere. And I mean, he was a big, gigantic terrorist, father of terrorism.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think he could believe how successful his idea would go later in history, like right now. Like that video you were sharing of these protest people wearing keffiyehs everywhere and holding the Palestinian flag everywhere. And that's Yasser Arafat. He's just like success. And he was a massive terrorist. And this is his vision. Succeeding, but not really, because they're actually gonna, I believe that they're gonna lose so big time. When Trump suggested the idea of relocating the Palestinians from Gaza, I would have never thought that I'd feel okay with such idea. But where we're at now, I was like, you know what? Not a bad idea, actually. Not a bad idea. And the reality of that is that nobody, if anyone is paying attention, there is no country that wants to host the Palestinian people. And the reason for that isn't solidarity with the cause. The reason for that is that, unfortunately, they are radicalized people that need help. They need help. They need help getting de-radicalized. They need help removing Hamas. They need help removing the UN, UNRWA, Red Cross, all these organizations that have been embedded, Hamas been embedded within them, and the education system need to change. They cannot raise their children with ideologies such as like murdering Jews and Israelis, and that's their goal in life, to conquer Jerusalem. And they keep saying this is their goal. And you know what? There is no partner for peace there. There is no. And they need help being de-radicalized. Honestly, the only mediator I've seen that can be successful so far is the US as mediator. Now that Trump stepped in, I feel like there is hope, in that he can do extreme things. The rest of the world might think it's really extreme, but my perspective is like someone need to come and do something, because those other Arab countries that are in charge in some way in the Middle East want nothing to do with it for a very long time. Qatar and Saudi and Jordan, they know what's going on in Gaza, and for many, many years, and they don't want to deal with it. They just let terrorists thrive there, and they're just like, just keep them there and we'll hope for the best, but we don't want anything to do with them. And now that Trump is stepping in, they actually have to deal with it. He got them to a place where they have to deal with it. And it might mean that, no Palestinian is actually going to leave Gaza, but still that those strong Arab countries that have a lot of money, they're going to need to step in and bring their own people in there, and their own government and their own education, and control what's happening with the Palestinian people, because they can't be continuously be radicalized against Israel. Israel is a partner for peace. Israel wants peace. Made peace with Egypt and Jordan. Israel wants peace, been putting it on the table again and again. They're the one who wants to kill until we get Jerusalem. And it's like, at this point, what are you going to do about it? You're going to just continue living with people who want to kill you at your doorstep? Would you?
Heck no.
Yeah.
No way. I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. And so, I'll be happy to see that Free Palestine movement as a movement, as the hijacked movement that it is. I'd love to see that movement just burned to the ground, to all these like so-called activists who've been so passionate promoting jihadist propaganda, to see them just swallowing their tongues, realizing that they never did the Palestinian people. There is a few voices of Palestinians who are not in Gaza anymore. One of them live in Germany and one live here in California. And I share their stuff sometime, and not many people listening to those voices, because they call out Hamas, and they also call out those movements, those colleges, all these passionate kids with Palestinian flags and kafiyas, and they're like, no, because the people in Gaza are hostages too. You all need to call out Hamas. Everyone need to call out Hamas to be removed. That's the only hope we have, is that Gaza can be freed from radicals. And the day it would, and the day the Palestinian people will stop teaching their children to kill us, then there might be hope for us as people.
Yeah, and the thing of it is, unfortunately, it is so infested by globalist billionaires funding all of this stuff that like I understand that, somebody wants to do something about it finally, but man, it's gonna be a dogfight to the finish on all of this.
Yeah.
Just terrible. So I just want everybody to see this one more time, Sherry. 500 days. $500 days. Did I lose you? I did. Yep. I lost ya. So folks, 500 days. I'm going to text her right now. Hold on, guys. I'm going to send her a text. And I'm going to tell her. Oh, okay. Let's see. This is crazy. Hold on. Okay, there you go.
Can you hear me?
Yep, 500 days. Oh. I have the 500-day picture up.
I see it.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. 500 days later. So fast, too.
And, and just, the trauma is just, I don't know how we gonna recover from this 500 days, and we're still in it, and we're still waiting for them. Just bring them home already, all of them. And we can somehow start to like rebuild as people. I mean, I can't imagine what it is over there, on the other side, like in Gaza, for people who have no homes and live in rubbles too, and I'm sure there is some innocent people there. I'm sure there is. I'm sure there are. Actually, as a matter of fact, there was a little research that was done recently. They were questioned, Palestinians in Gaza, as far as kind of checking who would want to go if there was an opportunity to leave and get paid for getting out and getting home somewhere else and be provided new life somewhere else. There was so far 100,000 Gazan who wants to. So
that's a huge number.
Yeah. So I really believe there is innocent people there who just want to live their life, and even in peace with Israel. I can't tell. From what I'm seeing, it's very sad. The levels of It's hard to believe that in the new generation, the younger kids, it's hard to believe there is anyone who who wants to live with Israelis. It seems to me that mostly they just kind of being taught, to kill us, and how much pride it brings to their people when they kill us.
Yeah.
And to their families, they're encouraging doing that, like, to be a shaheed, to be, holy person. A person that killed Jews and Zionists is a holy person. And yeah, so what do we do about that? And then what do you do about the Western society who excuses that and justify it and go, what aboutism, about it, kind of finding reason where a reality like that makes sense, or raising children with like death cult ideologies make sense, when you're a Palestinian, because the Israelis are just so horrible that, of course, they grew up to be monsters and wanting to kill us because of us. And now that is also anti-Semitic idea right there. Anti-Semitism is like when they blame the Jews for being killed, for having enemies. It's our fault that they hate us. And so it's okay when they come and like all hell break loose like October 7, that there are people here who I know whose excuses October 7, they will have intellectual dialogue about October 7. With me, they would I mean, they're not my friends anymore, of course, after expressing themselves that way. There is one lady, she lives in Portland, and she's like a singer, also one of those with like 50,000 followers, and indigenous movement, solidarity, all those things. And she, when I told her, can you condemn Hamas? Can you like just say October 7 was wrong? Like, let's simplify it. Can you say it was wrong? And like, can you say terrorism is wrong? And she said, her answer was, I don't think that resistance to occupation is terrorism. And by saying something like that is excusing October 7. When people tell you that resistance to occupation is not terrorism, they're excusing Hamas. And that's what they learn on their social media from other Hamas, backed people, movements, or the Muslim Brotherhood, I should say. It's deeper than Hamas,
Yeah, their minds are programmed now.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, it's really sad. Like, I was getting really angry before about it, but now I'm just like, okay, it really is a spiritual warfare. There isn't, we can just like pray and keep talk about it, about the truth, and point it out. Like I point out on that lady who was telling me, Hamas is not a terrorist, they're resistance, and I point my finger out and tell other people. I was like, look at this. She's also saying it publicly. This was on a public social media space, not in a personal conversation. So I took screenshot, of course, because I keep those things, because people saying these things is not okay. And maybe they don't understand it now, but I keep record, especially on the ones who are kind of trying to become famous or famous already, that speaking like that publicly, so confident too. Something is deeply wrong. And people need to pay attention. Parents to teenagers, or kids in their 20s or kids in colleges, and really pay attention what kind of information they're being exposed to, because I watch those things. I watch those pages of pro-Palestinian pages and these like pro-jihadist pages. I like to go in there and check out what they're saying, because I want to know what those people I'm talking with, what are they watching that gets them so confident to tell someone who's born and raised in the Middle East and survived multiple terrorist attack. What gives you the confidence as a Westerner that never been to the Middle East to cancel what I know?
Because you were in the Middle East when Hezbollah was on the loose.
Yeah, Hezbollah, and also Hamas, and Al Qaeda. The one really big terrorist attack blast I was not in, but was right in front of me. That was an Al Qaeda attack that was happening in the Sinai Peninsula, which it isn't Israel anymore. It used to be part of Israel, and then Israel gave it as part of the treaties for peace treaties with Egypt. So it belongs to Egypt now. When Israel actually pulled out, I don't know, it was something like 40, 50,000 this Israelis in the 80s when they gave in 82, when they gave the Sinai Peninsula to Egypt. There was villages there and kibbutzes, and they forcibly removed their own people, just like they did with Gaza. Because, you know, we were in Gaza until 2005. 2005, they pulled out by force. What was it, like 20,000 Israelis by force? IDF came and took them and demolished their homes. So, you know, for peace, that never worked, unfortunately. There was a hope.
I think God's going to be really upset about his land being divided.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, I mean, in a way, it's too bad. You know, Hamas really messed it up for the Palestinian people. There could be much better for them if not Hamas was like taking power back in 2005. Soon as Hamas took power, you know, that was it. All their focus was just killing us, using all the money for weapons. So the people for decades didn't have, since 2005, they don't have, you know, and Israel left Gaza. Israel left all their stuff there, like the greenhouses, the water systems. There was like good kind of a foundation going on, you know, for agriculture. And what Hamas did, they just destroyed it all because it was like the Zionists. They call us the settlers.
Wow.
And that's what Westerners don't understand. That's what Westerners don't understand. Those ones supporting Free Palestine, they don't understand that we know, Israelis know, they kind of do things to us, and they know Westerns don't understand. You know what? Yeah, it's quite the mind, you know, mind game what they're doing. Yeah.
How many friends would you say have pulled away from you after all of this?
So many, for all the reasons, but so many. I mean, some just a whole community of people. You know, a whole community, really. Say, at least 20 people I know that aren't my friends anymore. Some, you know, was through dialogue, and I can get pretty intense in my expression. And at time, again, I'm not from here, you know. I grew up in Israel. We have very different culture and different social codes too. So at times we're being perceived as rude or kind of loud, or just, you know, in the US sometimes, or Western society sometimes, like, whoa, you know, or the way we speak is very passionately, so people take it as aggressive. And so some of old friends that I lost was through dialogue about this, which I'm very passionate about the jihadist propaganda that is going on, about anti-Semitism and how it's all related and how it's so old, and it's, you know, much older than their conception of racism, you know, like anti-Semitism since the days of Abraham, you know. It's this old, the Jew hatred is like very old for us, before Nazis. Like
Yeah.
Herod, you were talking about King Herod, you know, that
Yep.
that you know, and that was anti-Semitism, you know, and so old. And he did what he did. He put the name Palestine there to erase the name Judea, because Judea is the Jews, is our name, is because of Judea. They call us Jews. In Hebrew, Yehuda, Yehudim. We say Yehudim in Hebrew. The Arabs, even now, when you hear Hamas or the people in Gaza, they talk about us, they say Yahud. Yahud, because our land is Yehuda. So even in Arabic, when they call us, they kind of admit by calling us who we are, Yahud. Our name is within the land, Judea. So what he did is just, removed us from the land, ethnic cleansing, sent us as slaves to Rome by the million, and removed the name Judea, put the name Palestine, Syria instead. That was the name. And he even said it. It's in the books. So we won't be able to claim it. He said it. He said, I put the name here so they can't come back. They wouldn't
That's
be
what
able
he
to
thinks.
say this is, yeah. Yeah. So, I believe that, some way or another, this is all the truth prevails. And we know what it is.
Yep. We sure do. We sure
Yeah.
do. And we know that God is going to be the problem solver on this one. And the people that are on the wrong side are not going to like it.
Yeah. No, please leave. No.
Yep. So, yeah. Well, man, I told you that we probably do more of these, and I know both of us have gotten busy, but we'll have to do another one because there's going to be more to talk about within the next few weeks, especially, since the hostages are going to be coming back to Israel. And I just want to see the temperature of the people when they see these hostages, whether they're alive or unalived. That's what I want to see, because it's going to be a very telling story.
Yeah, it's it's a scary one to think too, that Hamas, if there are hostages that are in really bad condition, I don't know that they would let them go, because they're trying so hard to not be looked like the evil beast that they are, that would just reveal who they are. And that's really scary to think about. No. Please go.
Yep. Yeah, we know who they are.
That's,
We know how
that's
they
our fear around it.
Well, we know how they are, Sherry, so they're not fooling us.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I do feel like how many you think in the US support Israel?
Whew, I say a small percentage.
Yeah. That's the problem, that's why I need to speak about it more. I don't know myself. I try, in different ways, but I kind of avoid personal dialogues, because often people just kind of come at me, trying to, like, change my mind or something, or prove me wrong. And So I don't do so much like one-on-one dialogue with people who just want to fight and stuff. I just try to um, deliver information and help people see. I'm starting a little YouTube with a friend of mine from Israel, where we just talk about the things just like me and you do, and
Mm-hmm.
just hope that there is people out there who listen and share out loud.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, I shared also today in my story, this sign that was in one of those protests that says, Jews have no right to their own land.
Well,
And I smiled because I say, there it is, guys. You know, I smile because it's ridiculous how much people refuse to listen about this movement have one goal, and it isn't to save the Palestinian people. That goal is to get the world to back them up with the idea that we have no right to be where we are, and with a lot of revisionism of history and like a weird perverse kind of change of history and
mm-hmm.
canceling our history, and rolling their eyes at the Jew that is like yelling anti-Semitism. That's what I'm experiencing pretty often. That people are like, "Oh my God, there is the Jew going about the Jew hatred," And I tell them, actually, doing that, rolling your eyes at the Jew that is talking with you about Jew hatred, is the top 5 in the book of how to identify anti-Semitism. Top 5.
Mm.
um like listen to what is being told, just like we say listen to them. When they say they're gonna do something, they're gonna do it.
Yeah, and
And
they've been doing it.
when they tell you they're gonna take over your country and that's what they want to do, they really do.
Yeah,
They
you saw what they
do it.
told that guy in Canada in the video I played.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen these videos too, and I also know it. Also, what people have a hard time to believe is something I brought up here talking with you before, is the takaya, which the takaya is the permission to lie in Islam, as long as it supports the cause of Islam.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you are an immigrant, let's say, and let's say you also support Hezbollah, Al Qaeda, ISIS, Hamas, any of those, you can lie about it. And it's okay, like to enter a country or to become a citizen. You can pretend to be something else until it's time to go, until it's go time.
Right.
Like that guy, and you know what's the problem? The problem that Trump have right now, what he's doing with like, oh, the immigration and all that. The problem we have that it's, I don't want to say too late, but a lot of these people are actually citizen. They're
Yeah.
not. They're not like that guy in New Orleans. That guy in New Orleans that like drove into.
Yeah, he was a citizen that was radicalized.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of them born here and then raised by radicalized families that came here. So they're American and they play into the system and they work in the system and they work in the army and they work in all those places. And then that's how they disguise until it's go time. And then you're like, oh my God, he was American citizen. He was working in the military. And this whole time he was against us and just planning, and so
Yeah.
the problem that is not the also to I would hope for America not to become like Europe or even Canada. And I think the only way to do that is to be having very high discernment to Muslim countries and who comes from over there.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's something that be really under a watch of someone, because the danger. That's the danger. What to do? Radicalize people and violent ideologies that where it's okay to beat up women and it's okay to marry children and it's okay to all kind of things,
All
that
kinds
are
of sick things.
all kind of, so don't call me Islamophobic all day. I could not care when people tell me that. I could not care. Go ahead, because I know what I'm talking about. And I'm not saying like there's beautiful people that are Arab Muslims that I know, and there is a peaceful way within it too. But I think I can say in a confident way that many are violent. And
Yes,
in many
unfortunately.
countries it is accepted, and if a husband decide he want to kill his wife because she disrespected him or something, it's okay, and he's not gonna get
And
prosecuted.
that's crazy.
So that's a culture. Like, and actually something happened in the US, I think some years ago, with the parents, Arab Muslim parents who like murdered their own daughter because she, had a boyfriend or something. I recently came across, it happened a few years ago, I think in Seattle or something like that, and they were arrested and put in jail because they live here, and the same go in Israel. When those families try to do something like that, they go in jail. They can't do it in Israel. So that's how, Muslim Arab women they have more protection in Israel under Israeli law. Their husband can't just kill them, for example, where if they lived in Gaza or in Egypt or other countries, it might just be not, he might get a little bit punishment, but not much. So, so that's the problem, because Americans and Europeans too, because they don't have the context of Middle Eastern culture, they kind of tiptoeing around it. Right? And that's a problem. That's why it shouldn't really happen. If countries gonna bring in Arabs from Arab countries to live in their society, they need to teach them. I don't know. They need to do something. They can't just plant them into the society and hope for the best. That's not gonna work.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
In Sweden and Holland and there was a bunch of countries, if you look it up, since Islamic migration to those countries, the crime rate went up like 65% or something like that. And like rape and women, like violence against women, rise really significantly in the last 20 years.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Those used to be safe places for women to walk in the street at night, and they're not anymore. Amsterdam, no.
Nope.
Paris, absolutely no.
London, no.
No way. So they have a problem, and hopefully other countries are watching and can learn what not to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Sherry, I don't want to take too much of your time because I know you got to have some family time too.
Yeah, my son came in for a moment.
Yeah. But thank you for coming on, and we will talk soon.
Yeah.
And we just keep praying for you guys because it's crazy.
Thank you.
We're living in some crazy times. Yes, indeed. Um, thank you guys for watching. Please do like, share, and subscribe. Please share this everywhere with people that do not understand the significance behind what's happening in the Middle East, what's happening here, and the high level of anti-Semitism. And boy, let me tell you, that brings high levels of anxiety. I'll tell you that right now. All right. All right, my friends. God bless you. We'll talk soon.
If I were the devil.
Please go, because this
If
is
I
not
were the devil.
and I don't like what you're just bugging.
If I were the prince of darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness, and I'd have a third of its real estate and 4/5 of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree. Thee. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of a serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square. And the old I would teach to pray after me, Our Father, which art in Washington. And then I'd get organized. I'd educate authors in how to make lurid literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I'd threaten TV with dirtier movies and vice versa. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd sell alcohol to ladies and gentlemen of distinction. I'd tranquilize the rest with pills. If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves, until each in its turn was consumed. And with promises of higher ratings, I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect to discipline emotions. Just let those run wild. Until before you knew it, you'd have to have drug-sniffing dogs and metal detectors at every schoolhouse door. Within a decade, I'd have prisons overflowing. I'd have judges promoting pornography. Soon I could evict God from the courthouse, then from the schoolhouse, and then from the houses of Congress. And in his own churches, I would substitute psychology for religion and deify science. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. If I were the devil, I'd make the symbol of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious. And what'll you bet? I couldn't get whole states to promote gambling as the way to get rich. I would caution against extremes in hard work, in patriotism, in moral conduct. I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on TV is the way to be. And thus I could undress you in public, and I could lure you into bed with diseases for which there is no cure. In other words, if I were the devil, I'd just keep right on doing what he's doing. Paul Harvey. Good day.
Ladies and gentlemen, please do support the podcast by sharing, and also continue to pray for our brothers and sisters in Israel. God bless you. Love you guys. And now you know the rest of the story.